wisdom crieth without. She uttereth her voice in the streets. She crieth in the chief place of concourse, in the opening of the gates. In the city she uttereth her words.
Because I have called, and ye refused. I have stretched out my hand, and no man regarded.
A friend of mine was telling me pop culture was social engineering.
Yeah, he said something about MK Ultra mind control in the media.
Don't you know what's going on?
You see this?
You gotta see this.
Check your phone.
Don't you know? Crazy.
Wow. This is crazy. You haven't heard?
Bro.
Is this true?
No cap.
You gotta see this.
I don't know what to believe.
Girl, don't you know?
Don't you know what's going on? You haven't heard?
Wake up.
You gotta see this.
You haven't heard?
Man, did y'all see the new Economist cover?
No.
Check it out. The way it's looking, 2025 is going to be like riding the world's most dangerous roller coaster after the maintenance crew been on strike for years. I'm saying, y'all better buckle up.
Guess who else is supposed to be walking off the job and going on strike?
Who?
You.
What?
Women. You heard of the 4B movement?
No.
What is the 4B movement? It originated in the country of South Korea, where the women there said, we are not going to take this misogyny anymore. They're not going to marry men. They are not going to have children. They are not going to have sex or date men. And they're going to break all ties with the patriarchal system. It has been so aggressive in the United States of America that we've even taken it to another level. Women say, I'm going to divorce my husband if he does not share my same political values.
Coloring my hair, having my hair be long, luxurious, got it. Being skinny, being hot, being all the things that the patriarchy wants us to be. Because clearly, they don't give a about us. And I'm talking to you too. Those of you ladies who have the internalized misogyny required to do what you did.
Every day I'm losing hope. Every day we stray further and further away from the light, the truth, and the love of the gods and the goddesses. I understand that everybody is grieving because we're still in mourning, we're still in shock, we're still angry and upset at Kamala Harris not winning the presidency, the election of 2024.
I am going to be doing a video about Black women and how Black women are actually coping with Kamala Harris's loss.
The 4B movement. I'm a radical feminist, female separatist, and I do outreach for the 4B movement. Today I want to get into the expansion of the 4B movement into the 5B movement, the 6B movement, the Chinese iteration of the 6B4T or 10BT movement, the 7B movement, the 8B movement, and the 8B4T movement.
I am now actively announcing it out loud. I am a part of the 4B movement, okay, until the foreseeable future.
Liberation language. While we're taking all that back, can we also be menaces? I think it's time for us to be menaces. We've been so kind and patient with everybody. We have been so giving and nurturing to everybody. I think it's time to be menaces. We have epigenetic resistance encoded in our DNA. Let's call some hell.
We have the power to make morons go extinct like dinosaurs. The morons here are just creating mediocrity. They are creating harm to Mother Earth and disrespecting the planets. And they are cancer to the planet. We don't need that, okay? We can live without mediocrity. We can live without the morons, okay? And if you're continuing to procreate with morons, you're just making little morons. We don't need that, Sugarfoot. Y'all acting like pregnancy is not a high risk as a woman, especially a Black woman. And you out here going half on a baby with the moron.
The fifth expansion is a principle called no chat bar. No chatbar basically means that we are just not talking to men. And that includes even males who are supportive of the 4B movement or claim to support the 4B movement. Because if they understood the principles, they would shut up and follow our lead.
In regard to the 4B movement, here's a motion I would like to bring to the people, okay? When men speak to us, begin to ensnare us in their drama, that is, them being a man and wanting something from a woman, can we start screaming? Can we just scream from there and be like, ah? Can we do that? Because I did that recently, and it was so great. It was so great.
Let's talk about Donald Trump's victory and how shocked everyone is about it. And to be honest, I did not know who was going to win the election. I tried to pull some tarot cards to see, what Spirit would let me know. But even I had no idea. I honestly thought that Kamala Harris may win. But, I still have the message that, hey, this is still the time of Lilith. I know a lot of people feel, disempowered or a little like, no hope, going forward. But, everything is still at play, right? You still need to be focusing on raising your vibration and healing the feminine energy within you, right? Making right with that Lilith energy inside you.
Making right with that Lilith energy inside you.
Now, the 8B expansion is no compromise with men.
As part of the larger cosmic shift, we are definitely witnessing the return of Lilith as well as Medusa's energy. Definitely witnessing the return of Lilith. Definitely witnessing the return of Lilith.
That's it. I get it. This whole Kamala Harris election loss must have been engineered by some high-level occultists to reenact the ancient mythological story of Lilith. Now it all makes sense. Look, this is a summary of Lilith's lore.
While many are familiar with the story of Adam and Eve, a lesser-known thread in medieval Jewish folklore popularized the idea that Eve was not Adam's first wife, but rather he was initially paired with a demonic figure named Lilith. But who exactly was Lilith? Traces of the character Lilith stretch as far back as 4,000 years ago in ancient Mesopotamian demonology. The name Lilith itself probably derives from the Sumerian word Lil, most often translated as wind or spirit. So how do we go from ancient Mesopotamian demonology to Lilith as we know her today in ancient Jewish mythology? The story of Lilith as Adam's first wife actually has no basis in the Hebrew Bible. The word Lilith does appear in the Hebrew Bible, but only once. A single mention in Isaiah chapter 34. In this chapter, the God of Israel wreaks vengeance on the neighboring kingdom of Edom, turning it into a wasteland. Verse 14 paints a picture of the devastation, a desolate land inhabited only by wild animals and demonic creatures. Wildcats shall meet with hyenas. Goat demons shall call to each other. There also Lilith shall repose and find a place to rest. Some scholars argue that the word Lilith here is not the proper name of a specific demon, but like the Lilitu of ancient Mesopotamia, refers to a type or class of demon, and thus should be translated as the Lilith, lowercase l. The NIV translates the word as night creatures, the ESV nightbird, and the KJV as screech owl. So throughout the Bronze and Iron Ages, we get glimpses of a type of child-killing, anti-fertility, anti-maternal female demon, sometimes conceptualized as a singular entity like Lamashtu. This figure finds its way into the demonology of Second Temple Judaism. For example, Lilith specifically and Liliths generically appear in the Dead Sea Scrolls.
The most popular story of Lilith comes from a medieval rabbinical text called the Alphabet of Ben Sirah. In this story, Lilith is the first wife of Adam, born at the same time and of the same earth. But very quickly, they realize this match is not meant to be. The first thing on Adam's mind is to lay with Lilith, very literally, and he insists that he be the one on top. But Lilith will not have it, and she insists that if they do the deed, she will not lie below because she will not be subordinate to him. She will not be of lesser status.
This myth emerges in the early medieval period, first appearing in the Alphabet of Ben Sirah, an anonymous Jewish text dating somewhere between the 8th century up to the year 1000. The text expands on the Garden of Eden story found in Genesis. In the text, God creates Lilith out of the dust of the earth, just like Adam, but she challenges Adam's authority. Specifically, she refuses to be on the bottom. She says because they're both made from the same earth, they are equals. When Adam refuses to let her on top, she pronounces the ineffable 4-letter name of God and flies away to the Red Sea.
And God tells Lilith she has to listen to her husband or else she's going to be exiled from Eden, and that would be pretty miserable. But Lilith doesn't care, and in fact she flies away screeching the unknowable name of God that somehow she knows. And after a while, it's kind of lonely in Eden, and God tries to get Lilith back, saying that, you know, if you don't come back, I'm going to have to curse you to be a demoness who devours your own children for eternity. But Lilith says,
so be it.
Because to her, that fate is better than one of eternal subordination. Now, to the modern mind, this is pretty freaking feministy.
Some of the very qualities that defined her as wicked in the alphabet of Ben Sirah, her independence and refusal to submit, were reclaimed as positive traits. By the end of the 20th century, this feminist rebrand of Lilith made its way outside of Jewish communities and found a new home, especially in contemporary pagan circles. Do a quick YouTube search and you'll find contemporary witches publishing how-to guides on how to work with Lilith in one's daily ritual practice. And this positive reinterpretation might be reflected in broader American society as well, because the name Lilith has skyrocketed in popularity since the early 2010s. According to the biggest baby name websites, Lilith was around the 900th most popular name for girls in 2010, and jumped to the 270th most popular name by 2022. So for most of her 4,000 years of history, Lilith was an unambiguously malevolent figure, dangerous specifically to women. But here in the 21st century, we're witnessing an ironic twist in her narrative.
Lilith has taken on a new role. She's become the dark feminist, the embodied, powerful, liberated, unapologetic woman that we have come to revere.
I'm a part of the 4B movement.
4B movement?
The 4B movement.
The 4B movement into the 5B movement, the 6B movement, the Chinese iteration of the 6B, 4T, or 10BT movement, the 7B movement, the 8B.
So currently, you're seeing the results of a heavy amount of Lilith energy right now. The amount of young ladies who are on a vengeful path is very evident, especially after the wake of the election results.
I see why they taught us about Eve and not Lilith. They don't want us channeling that energy. I think it's time we do.
Lilith being kind of the energy behind feminism. Also, if you study her, you will find out that she was labeled as a demon who used to unalive children. So that further connects it to the feminist women's rights movement. Lilith is a very dark energy. She's a demoness, so she resides in the dark side of the woman. She is meant to enact vengeance on men. It is dire out here. The young ladies are out here angry at men and wanting to take all men out, and I'm here to tell you that that Lilith energy is nothing to play with. It will destroy you. It will destroy the man, but it will destroy you too. So please.
Wow, I didn't get the memo. Well, I'm not crazy about Trump either, but I'm not about to shave my head for Kamala. Last time that I checked, she still had a husband and a full head of hair.
Yo, I'm proud of you. Even you didn't drink the Kool-Aid. You keep talking like that, I might just take you out the friend zone and give you a shot.
That's very funny. Ha ha ha. If you take off the tinfoil hat and stop scaring my friends with your doomsday conspiracy theories, I might take you out of the friend zone.
Lumber's in denial. But seriously, what you're saying about the Lilith programming might have some validity to it. Remember when they were promoting the video game Diablo 4 and they put up those giant billboards of Lilith around the city, and then the sky turned red and the sun was blotted out?
Blizzard's marketing escapades are in full swing, but this time things may have gone a little too far. That's because they put up massive billboards featuring the demonic Lilith across all of New York. Well, just days later, the sky turned red and the air turned toxic, with the posters ominously reading, "Welcome to Hell, New York."
Yeah, I remember that. They said it was smoke from the wildfires in Canada.
Well, this obviously wasn't Blizzard's doing. In fact, it's all been caused by the wildfires engulfing Canada at the moment.
This is still the time of Lilith.
Well, in the game, Lilith is only brought to life after this priestly black man is sacrificed.
This is still the time of Lilith. This is still the time of Lilith.
And lastly, she's given more power when this priestly black woman is sacrificed.
Making right with that Lilith energy inside you.
Definitely witnessing the return of Lilith.
Wasn't a Catholic church in France converted to a Lilith temple for that same game?
Yep.
I visited the Diablo 4 Cathedral in real life. I live in the USA, and this cathedral is in France, in a town called Cambrai, north of Paris. Now, on my way there, Google Maps told me that people typically spend about an hour here, but you only really need 15 minutes to check out the artworks on the ceiling promoting Diablo 4.
Real-life Diablo Cathedral opens its doors in France. Fans of the game can visit the church until June 11th to view life-sized art of the title, which is painted on the ceiling of the 17th century cathedral. The church is a deconsecrated cathedral, allowing it to be used for the promotion of a video game.
Yo, so you mean Lilith is to blame for me not getting that girl's number the other day? I thought when she said 4B, she was talking about her hair texture.
Now, don't try to blame Lilith for your lack of game. Now, Jake, all jokes aside, I'm not going to go as far as to say you're right about there being some kind of shadowy group who believe in eugenics trying to instigate a gender war in the black community. But what I will say is, yesterday, I was scrolling through what was trending on YouTube, and I clicked on Megan Thee Stallion's new video, and it was more of the same. Megan offing random black men then they recommended Fabio Foreign's Jason's Plans, and that was the same. Then it automatically went to Doechii, Alligator Bites Never Heal. And I remembered that video where she was lowering a man's body into an alligator pit. And I gotta admit, I got a real eerie feeling. And I thought about what you've been saying.
That's not even the half of it. That Doechii video, or should I say that Universal Music Group's video, is symbolically referencing gator bait. And specifically the white alligator represents a rare hidden danger. Think about it. What was Kim Kardashian's costume this last Halloween?
Oh wow, she dressed up as a white alligator.
Just think of all the black men whose lives have gone downhill after they've been with the Kardashians. Gator bait.
The Kardashian curse. It's crazy because Kendrick Lamar just posted Gucci's album Alligator Bites Never Heal, saying it's the hardest thing out.
That makes sense. Because they were both signed to TDE under Universal Music Group, which is run by the French company Vivendi, owned by the French conglomerate Bolloré Group. Remember Kanye said they control the banks in Africa.
Don't tell me Kendrick sold his soul to the devil. He has always claimed to be guided by some kind of otherworldly power. He even said he was abducted by aliens.
At 6 years old, Kendrick Lamar said that he encountered aliens. Now, it's not 100% clear what happened in that encounter, but he was talking to Howard Stern, and while they were cracking jokes, he did seem pretty serious about having an alien encounter.
Yeah, since Kendrick got the inside scoop with these extraterrestrials, maybe he'll tell us what's going on with all these UFO sightings.
These orbs, or in some cases they call them Tic Tacs.
Like Prince Harry getting a mock tattoo that says, I am. Kendrick's new video starts with the words, I am.
I am.
He's been showing signs of a God complex ever since he wore that crown of thorns at that Paris fashion show.
Yeah, the Paris fashion scene does seem to have a strange effect on a lot of these celebrities. Y'all know I love fashion, but I don't know if I can hang out with some of these French fashion icons like Michelle Lamy. She's giving Draggy to Hell vibes. Creepy.
New Orleans was colonized by the French, and now that Kendrick's headlining the Super Bowl in New Orleans at the Superdome, which is strategically placed in relation to the French Quarter.
Meet me in New Orleans, February 9th. Let's go.
And finally, not the Super Bowl, the Superb Owl.
Superb Owl 400.
There's a couple things you need to know about that word I just used. Super Bowl. Yeah, that's right, and it's in that spirit that Jerry Carnes is connecting the dots between the big game and a wise old owl.
Superb Owl. Comedian Stephen Colbert reworked the letters in Super Bowl to give his television audience Superb Owl coverage beginning in 2014. During last year's game in Minneapolis, the city's public transit system used the term to promote a charity event. At first, observers thought it was a misspelling. Don't be surprised if a Superb Owl shows up to guide us toward the game.
Don't be surprised if a Superb Owl shows up to guide us toward the game.
The NFL is using voodoo imagery to promote the Superb Owl ritual.
This is your future. American passion. I see a lot of lights.
Wait, Western voodoo comes from Haiti, which was also colonized by the French? I think we're starting to see a pattern.
President Donald Trump will attend the Super Bowl in New Orleans on Sunday, according to the White House. It will be his first trip as president to the game, as the Kansas City Chiefs take on the Philadelphia Eagles.
They've supersized security at this year's Super Bowl. On Bourbon Street, scene of the New Year's Day attack, you couldn't go a few feet without seeing the heavy security presence. From armored vehicles, local cops on horseback, even the National Guard with long guns.
About 100,000 fans will be here celebrating the Super Bowl this weekend. And authorities are taking no chances, especially with President Trump now attending.
You mentioned 2,000, officers will be here. We have 200 state troopers. We've already seen state National Guard in the French Quarter.
Back in Super Bowl 59 in New Orleans with halftime show performer Kendrick Lamar. There was controversy as many thought Lil Wayne should have been the choice. But some fans are upset, thinking Lil Wayne, who is from New Orleans, should have been picked to perform instead of the Compton rapper. Now, the New Orleans native is breaking his silence.
Pretty candid about feeling hurt that he was passed over to perform at next year's Super Bowl set in New Orleans in favor of West Coast rapper Kendrick Lamar.
It's crazy because Lil Wayne versus Kendrick Lamar fighting over the Superb Owl Lilith in the French Quarter was already predicted 3 years ago in Lil Wayne's music video, Mona Lisa. Remember, the video starts in Paris, France, showing the Eiffel Tower. Then eventually they cut to a scene with this horned female demon, which fits all the descriptions of Lilith. After the video cuts back and forth between Lil Wayne rapping in the French Quarter and Kendrick Lamar playing the piano in France, The Lilith demon seduces and sacrifices this man. She then instigates jealousy between Lil Wayne and Kendrick Lamar, which escalates into a full-blown fight in the middle of a flooded New Orleans street.
Oh, I get it. Katrina.
Mona Lisa, Mona Lisa, as the chorus sings. These occult record labels always use the same symbols with Kendrick Lamar. He's always standing in water serving a false goddess.
Why is the Fox NFL mascot promoting the Super Bowl from a boat called the Voodoo Queen? Who's the Voodoo Queen?
Well, some might say it's Marie Laveau. Laveau being the French name of the wealthy slave and plantation owner who married her. But I think the Voodoo Queen is really a spirit, a succubus, banshee or siren, like Kali, Ishtar, or Lilith. Think back, pop culture has been priming black women to associate themselves with this vengeful, half-woman, half-animal spirit in recent years. And a lot of mythology says these kinds of spirits live in the water. That's why they got it on the side of a boat.
So, Jake, if you're saying women are being manipulated to personify Lilith and attempt to overthrow the patriarchy, what does any of this have to do with France?
Yeah. You mentioned the Lilith Church in France, Kendrick under UMG, which is owned by the French. The Super Bowl in New Orleans by the French Quarter. Voodoo flourishing in places colonized by the French. So, what's the French connection?
I gotta admit, I'm not really sure how all this ties together. It's a lot of coincidences and I don't believe in coincidence, but I do know how we can get some answers. Let's ask Truth Rider.
Navigating the treacherous corridors between truth and lies. In a shady world of shadow banning and censorship, using their technology against them, he fights the prince of the power of the air. He braves the information highway in a race against time. A race against the signal. His mission, to expose a cabal of illuminists hiding in the dark, hiding in the recesses of the mind. But the shadowy figures in the dark web are relentless. Hiding in the recesses of the mind. Truth Rider, a lone watchman, traverses cyberspace, scouring the metaverse in search of truth, vanquishing propaganda, liberating those who have been bound by deception. He rides.
Shalom, family. Wow, lots of questions. Well, I want to help you connect the dots. Your discernment and pattern recognition are getting sharper and sharper. Unfortunately, too many young people in the social media era are not paying attention. Many are on a wide road, paved with red flags, but distractions make the masses colorblind. You've correctly discerned that there's an agenda to tie disappointed, disillusioned women angry with Kamala Harris's campaign loss to this vengeful spiritual force called Lilith. It's important to remember that the left wing and the right wing are two wings attached to the same unclean and hateful bird. This second-term selection of the Operation Warp Speed Pushing, Lolita Express Flying 47th President of the United States, Donald Trump, was engineered to create massive imbalance in the right-left paradigm, eliciting a potent Hegelian response from those under the control of the opposite wing of the unclean bird.
But there's a hidden hand, secretly guiding the chaotic, emotionally irrational 4B movement right into the arms of the ancient genocidal demon, Lilith.
It's time to start working with the dark feminine energy of Lilith. Lilith is our master guide in shadow work.
The 4B movement is an initiative to gain female economic and political power.
If one considers the numerical value
The 4B movement
of the acronym 4B, B being the second letter of the English alphabet, you would arrive at the number 42. This is another clue pointing to the transformative presence of Hermetic alchemy as a hidden component to this Luciferian agenda. It certainly was no coincidence that the image of America's god of finance, Hermes, who's closely associated with the number 42, adorned the ceiling above Trump as he was inaugurated. And it was no accident that Trump took the oath and was sworn in without placing his hand on the Bible, striking a familiar pose, one hand pointing up, the other pointing down, as above so below, mirroring Baphomet or Pan, the son of Hermes. But this is nothing new. Trump has been likening himself to the goat god more and more in recent years.
I'm the goat in debates, because I had a lot of debates and I became president, and the goat means greatest of all time.
This golden goat idol was recently on auction at Trump's Mar-a-Lago home. The golden idol is covered in novelty $100 bills that read, "In Trump We Trust."
Wow.
And just recently, Donald Trump Jr. posted this very telling image of his father.
When the Son of Man shall come in his glory, and all the holy angels with him, then shall he sit upon the throne of his glory, and before him shall be gathered all nations, and he shall separate them one from another, as a shepherd divideth his sheep from the goats. And he shall set the sheep on his right hand, but the goats on the left. Then shall he say also unto them on the left hand, Depart from me, ye cursed, into everlasting fire, prepared for the devil and his angels.
For wisdom called to him, he answered her not. He forsook his blessing. By the sword shall he live. Yes, the sheep and the goats, the wheat and the tares, everything is not what it seems. For instance, Kendrick works for the same people Donald Trump works for. But Kendrick has been cast as a messiah figure toward the so-called black community. He walks on water, wears a crown of thorns. They even show him caging an unclean and hateful bird. Throughout his whole Superb Owl performance, he defies Uncle Sam's orders while preaching a black liberation gospel right in front of Donald Trump and his MAGA mob. What a psyop. In reality, Kendrick is controlled opposition, a rapping puppet used for social engineering and to telegraph lesser magic predictive programming in order to gain passive consent before events are played out on a world stage. And his performance was no different, continuing the esoteric theme of the previous two halftime shows starring Rihanna and Usher, which were all about fertility rights, controlled breeding, Population control and eugenics.
Scorekeeper, deduct one life.
Which were all about fertility rights, controlled breeding, population control and eugenics.
Deduct.
Population control and eugenics.
Deduct one life. Deduct. Scorekeeper, deduct one life.
I'm the GOAT.
The first set of symbols I want to highlight pertain to the colors red, white, and blue, which are also the national colors of France, France being the true birthplace of Lady Liberty. Kendrick has openly displayed his allegiance and devotion to the goddess of red, white, and blue. Women's live in infanticide.
With blood streaming down his face from his crown, King Kendrick continued rapping a cappella after the song had finished, delivering an impassioned statement just days after the U.S. Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade, stripping women of their constitutional right to abortion.
They judge you to judge Christ. Godspeed for what is right. They judge you to judge Christ. Godspeed for what is right. They judge you to judge Christ. Godspeed for what is right. They judge you to judge Christ. Godspeed for what is right. They judge.
You see, Kendrick knows he's an Israelite and still promotes abortion, America's #1 population control weapon against the Israelites, while he wears a crown of thorns, knowing Joseph and Mary were Israelites who fled the Romans' mass slaughter of male children and were still able to give birth to the Messiah despite an unexpected high-risk pregnancy. Here we see him with SZA in the midst of an inverted triangle. In the midst of an inverted triangle, which is a symbol of the feminine principle in the element of water.
Oh, the water and the ocean.
SZA, the relationship sabotaging R&B siren, who personifies a vengeful water Lilith, channels the scarlet whore that sitteth on many waters, Lady Liberty.
Wow, but why did the Super Bowl celebrate Rihanna and ASAP's pregnancy? And why was Trump's judge allowed to overturn it?
You see, unbeknownst to you, we are quietly entering into the age of chimeras. As in the days of Noah, mankind is undergoing a profound transformation. The rise of the phoenix, the post-human Neo-Nephilim age.
I'm the GOAT.
But you asked if there's a connection between this radical feminist programming and France, the birthplace of Lady Liberty, a symbol of the great whore of Babylon.
So throughout the Bronze and Iron Ages, we get glimpses of a type of child-killing, anti-fertility, anti-maternal female demon.
Fueled by Lilith's spirit of lust and war, the French adopted the fighting matriarch, Marianne, as their national symbol after the French Revolution. It is not disputed that Marianne is Lady Liberty, and Lady Liberty is the mother of women's lib.
Women's liberation.
You made a keen insight when you associated Lilith with the screeched owl. This is a not-so-subtle clue that leads straight to the Babylonian demon goddess, Ishtar. You see, this is no secret to the French occultists, and they are not shy about bestowing praise upon all forms of this sadistic siren.
The invention was originally developed for the Hellfest Festival, a questionable machine nicknamed Lilith, depicting a disturbing creature that is half woman, half scorpion, with the spider legs and ram's horns.
In the Gregorian year of 2024, and the month they refer to as October, the French city of Toulouse celebrated Hellfest and proudly unveiled the centerpiece of their yearly music festival, a 3-story tall animatronic chimeric Lilith. overtly satanic display was openly paraded through the streets of France just months after the occult-fueled opening ceremony of the 2024 Olympics.
Again, the French Olympics used 2 Israelites as their torchbearers, igniting the altar as an offering to the Greek gods of Mount Olympus. And there's a reason why this colossal depiction of Lilith is painted with dark skin and given the features of a so-called black woman. The same reason Diablo 4 showed you 2 Israelites sacrificed to Lilith beneath a French Gothic cathedral. Pay attention, they've been showing you their playbook for years now through predictive programming. It's just that the depths of this evil conspiracy go so far, it's beyond most people's capability to comprehend.
Let's take a brief look at 2 recent Hollywood films that showcase this spellcasting: the 2024 Netflix original Under Paris and the 2014 adaptation of Rosemary's Baby starring Zoe Saldana. Under Paris follows a marine biologist as she tracks a man-eating shark named Lilith through the aquifers, waterways, and flooded catacomb temples beneath the city of Paris. In the movie, the female shark Lilith is undergoing genetic mutations which allow her to not only survive in fresh water, but she's able to birth offspring and reproduce through a process called parthenogenesis without needing to have sexual intercourse with the male.
Wow, they even got the sharks doing 4B.
Man, I guess this is what Hillary was talking about when she said the future is female.
The future is female.
In the 2014 miniseries Rosemary's Baby, the New World Order's fertility-controlled breeding agenda is on full display. And I'm sure you know the story of Rosemary's Baby.
Yes.
But in the recent adaptation, the main character, Rosemary, is a young Israelite woman who moved to Paris, France with her Gentile husband. Ultimately, through a strange demonic turn of events, she becomes pregnant, but not by natural means from a flesh and blood male. No, she is impregnated by another worldly force, a fallen angel. She gives birth to a hybrid child who has no earthly father. And if that wasn't enough, France's iconic gargoyle-covered Gothic cathedral, Notre Dame meaning Our Lady, held a high-level Phoenix Rising ritual designed to usher in a new age of dominion for their lady.
Well, the bald eagle is officially our national bird now. President Joe Biden signing legislation giving the bird on the nation's Great Seal its rightful recognition. The bald eagle has been used on official documents, by the way, since 1782. Congress then designated the bird on the seal as our national emblem, but until today, the bald eagle had never actually been named America's national bird.
The Eagles have won the Super Bowl. Oh my goodness.
Notre Dame, meaning Our Lady, held a high-level Phoenix Rising ritual designed to usher in a new age of dominion for their lady.
The restoration of the historic Notre Dame Cathedral in Paris. A crane lifted a new golden rooster weather vane to the top of the landmark's reconstructed spire. The rooster was reimagined as a phoenix, a symbol of resilience.
Unbeknownst to you, the occult brotherhoods, the crafty council, assigned a potent spellbound symbol over the so-called black community living as exiles in the diaspora worldwide. You have been assigned a hunting chimeric spirit charged to keep a watchful eye and guard over the sacred urn. You ask, what is the contents of the urn? The urn is filled with the ashes of the dry bones.
And whereas thou sawest 2 feathers under the wings passing over the head that is on the right side, it signifieth that these are they whom the highest hath kept unto their end. This is the small kingdom, and full of trouble, as thou sawest. And the lion, whom thou sawest rising up out of the wood, and roaring and speaking to the eagle, and rebuking her for her unrighteousness with all the words which thou hast heard. This is the anointed which the highest hath kept for them, and for their wickedness unto the end. He shall reprove them, and shall upbraid them with their cruelty. For he shall set them before him alive in judgment, and shall rebuke them, and correct them. For the rest of my people shall he deliver with mercy, those that have been pressed upon my borders. And he shall make them joyful until the coming of the day of judgment, whereof I have spoken unto thee from the beginning.
Though there's more to cover, I think that's enough food for thought for now.